Not every rep is created equal. Depending on how you translate that prescription on paper to real training can make the results great or non-existent. This video is going to share how we can manipulate the quality of our reps to move better, target weak points, build muscle, and improve our flexibility. Let's jump straight into it. Tempo dictates how we perform an exercise, specifically how long a rep and therefore a set lasts. When we think about those traditional rep prescriptions for strength, functional hypertrophy, strength endurance, what that's actually translating to is time under tension and the effects that that has. So if we look back at those push-ups again, whilst both sets would have been 10 reps, the time under tension, the duration of the set, is going to be drastically different for each. And you can probably guess which one is going to see better results. When we also measure these results over the weeks and months, we want to use tempo as a constant. This way we can ensure that we're comparing accurately, we're keeping ourselves honest, and we're not cheating just to make some progress on paper. If we go back to that table, we can take our default mode of tempo as a rep lasting between 3 and 4 seconds. This tempo can be given as 4 numbers to dictate each part of a movement. The first number is not necessarily the first part of the movement. This actually refers to the eccentric or lowering into the stretch position. The second number is the pause in this stretch position. The third number is the concentric or lifting phase, and then the fourth number is the pause in the shortened position. For most training, simply sticking to that default mode of training with 3 to 4 seconds for each rep will give you great progress and drastically improve the quality of your sets. However, we can manipulate this tempo to further change the effect of our training. Slow eccentrics teach you how to move and perform better. One of the main components of building strength, especially earlier on, or if you're working on a new movement, is improving intermuscular coordination. Essentially how our muscles cooperate together to get the task done. When we perform a movement slowly, our body is better able to figure out how this coordination goes together so we can learn that movement pattern. We're also 120 to 150% stronger in that eccentric range of motion. This means that it is often understimulated with our normal working sets. So by using a slow eccentric, we can accentuate this portion and get further strength gains. Try starting with 4-second eccentrics, but you can even take this up to 6, 8 or more seconds for that eccentric component. Negative only reps help us combine both of these benefits of 1, being significantly stronger, and 2, improving that coordination, especially when it comes to learning new skills, such as getting your first chin up or your first handstand push up. I think negative only reps are absolutely essential. You can try performing these in clusters, maybe performing 2 to 3 repetitions, lowering for a 6 to 8 second negative. That fits us nicely into that relative strength bracket, which we talked about in the table earlier. Pauses help to strengthen weak points. This is where the second and the fourth number comes in from that tempo earlier. Ideally, we want to try and match these numbers with a strength curve. A strength curve basically dictates where a movement is harder and where a movement is easier. Depending on the type of exercise, because gravity is always acting down, this will vary. For pushing, this is generally going to involve holding the bottom position, so think the bottom of a push-up or the bottom of a pike push-up. For pulling, this is going to involve holding at the top of the position. Think the top of the chin up or the top of a row, really retracting that scapula and shoulder blades. However, there is no real rule here. You can kind of add pauses in wherever you want. Just think about the movement that you're trying to achieve. Think about the portions of that movement that you're struggling. Add some pauses, some extra time under tension there, and you will see improvement in those movements. Finally, we can also bias tempo to improve our flexibility. If you remember earlier, I mentioned that that second number refers to the pause in the stretch position, and that's exactly what it is. It's a stretch. To increase our flexibility, we simply need to spend more time in our end ranges of motion, those stretch positions. Adding pauses of 3, 4, or 5 seconds on our reps in that stretch position, we can actually see some significant flexibility progress from our general strength work. And this might involve holding the bottom of a push-up, or the bottom of a bicep curl on an incline to improve our shoulder extension. This could be holding an isometric at the end of our chin-up set to get a stretch over the lats, or the bottom of a lat pullover. To improve hip rotation, we can use a pause at the bottom of a seated good morning or a Romanian deadlift. And finally, to open the hips and the ankles, we can try adding the pause at the bottom of a split squat or a sissy squat to open up the hip flexor. Ultimately, we won't be able to push as hard or use as much load when we're performing exercises like this, so you won't build that absolute relative strength doing maximum range of motion exercises, but it has actually been shown that it is better for hypertrophy. Performing reps through a larger range of motion, providing a greater stretch over the muscle, is actually going to aid in that muscle building benefit. Additionally to this, that slower eccentric has also been shown to improve that muscle building effect, as well as the fact that by using these controlled tempos, we're going to improve that tension that is placed upon the muscle, which again has been shown to improve that hypertrophic response. So if you're not already paying attention to tempo, I definitely would recommend trying to introduce it into your training. Oftentimes though, if we count in our head, time definitely seems to pass faster, although it feels like it's going slower. Using something like a metronome is a great way to keep yourself honest, but it can make you a little bit crazy if that is all you're listening to for your session. So really quality of the rep, i.e. tempo, good form, and the amount of effort that we put in are really going to be the cornerstones of making solid progress here. I'd love to hear your thoughts and kind of how you go about implementing this into your training. Let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this one, hit that thumbs up button, support the channel. Right next to it is that subscribe button if you want to join the tribe. Other than that, catch you next one. Have a strong week. Peace.